Alex Alonso, Street TV. You're tapping in with another video about Tory Lanez, who's scheduled to be sentenced tomorrow in Los Angeles criminal courts in downtown LA. And I decided to put this video out regarding some of the issues that may have come up during the testimony. And what I actually outlined were some inconsistent statements, misstatements, and perhaps lies that Megan Thee Stallion told on the stand while she was testifying against Tory Lanez in the trial. I actually went over all her testimony and I counted 16. I counted 16 misstatements, lies, inconsistencies that she testified about. But this video is going to highlight seven of the more important ones that she told while she was testifying against Tory Lanez. And I think that the defense is going to file some sort of motions and appeals, and they're going to focus on some of the testimony by the witnesses. And I'm almost certain they're going to try to challenge some of Megan Thee Stallion's testimony. But let's go through 7 lies, misstatements, inconsistencies that Megan Thee Stallion told while she was on the stand. And the first one is regarding whether or not she had been drinking or she was drunk. So on cross-examination, the defense attorney asked Megan Thee Stallion how many drinks did she have while she was at Kylie Jenner's house. And she was asked, you were pretty drunk, huh? And she replied, no. So she denied that she was even intoxicated. We know that's not correct because we heard testimony from Kelsey Harris and we heard testimony from EJ. Her answer regarding how much did she drink was a little bit. But EJ and Kelsey both stated that there was a significant amount of drinking at Kylie Jenner's house. Kelsey testified that her and Megan were both drunk. And EJ testified that there were multiple empty bottles that Megan, Kelsey, and Kylie had consumed. Who was drinking? The defense attorney asked EJ. He said that he doesn't drink, but that Kelsey and Megan were drinking. He was asked how much. He said a good amount. How much would you say? The defense attorney asked EJ. They went through a lot of bottles. So I think it's fair to say that Megan Thee Stallion was not only intoxicated, but she drank more than a little bit. The second inconsistent statement was regarding Megan Thee Stallion, getting kicked out of Kylie's house. She was asked by the defense attorney, did Kylie kick you guys out of the party? And her answer was no, not at all. She did not kick us out. When Megan went back to get her so-called slipper, now let me remind you guys that Tory Lanez told his driver to take Megan and Kelsey home and then come back, to pick him up later. He was going to stay behind at Kylie Jenner's house to hang out. So at some point during Quan driving Megan Thee Stallion and Kelsey home, Megan told the driver, hey, I forgot a shoe at Kylie's house. Can we go back and get it? So they went back and there was an argument between Megan and Tory when they returned. And at that point, that's when Kylie Jenner told everyone to leave. And she not only kicked out Megan, but she ended up kicking out Tory. So we learned that through testimony of 2 other people. Let's see here. And also, let me just add that Kelsey Harris stayed in the car when Megan Thee Stallion went back in. And Kelsey actually testified that that Megan came running out. And while she was running back out of Kylie's house, she was saying, Kylie just kicked us out. All right. So the third inconsistent statement was regarding this term backdooring. Backdooring came up. It was related to Megan Thee Stallion messing around with men that either Kelsey Harris was interested in or that she had already been with. So the defense attorney asked Megan about her backdooring Kelsey, regarding hooking up with other men, and she testified she did not know what that meant. But according to the police statement that she made, Megan told the police that Kelsey said that she backdoored me again. So, and this was a reference to Tory Lanez and at least two other men that Megan hooked up with that Kelsey was either interested in or had been with. So she denied that this whole backdooring even took place, or nor did she even know what it meant. Point number 4. Defense attorney asked Megan Thee Stallion on cross-examination, did you have a verbal argument with Kelsey Harris? This would have been after they got out the car the second time, moments before the shooting. And her answer was no. She denied any form of conflict or verbal argument with her friend Kelsey Harris, or her former friend Kelsey Harris. But then the defense attorney, showed a police report from 2020 that stated that Megan actually told the police that she had an argument with Kelsey. And then she told the defense attorney that, yeah, I see the report. It says that I did say I was arguing with Kelsey, but then she said, but I never actually said that. So even when confronted with a police report, a statement that she made to the police admitting that she had an argument with Kelsey, she still denied it. She said, I was only arguing with Tory Lanez. But then, and also we learned from Kelsey Harris that she also admitted that there was a verbal argument, and she characterized it as screaming and yelling. So I think it's fair to say that there was some sort of verbal confrontation between Kelsey Harris and Megan Thee Stallion. The fifth point. This fifth point is an important point here. And it's about the timeline regarding what took place right before the shooting. And Megan was asked, what direction did you walk when you got out of the car, got out of the SUV the second time? Now, remember, there was the first time that Megan got out the car. She was sitting at a bus stop. Tory Lanez eventually got out the car and got her to come back in. This is while they were arguing when they left Kylie's house. But then they all got in, and then there's a second time when she gets out the car, and that's when the shooting happened. So she was asked, what direction did you walk, Megan, when you got out the car the second time? Towards the front of the car or towards the back of the car? She said that she got out the car and walked towards the front of the car, and then the shooting took place. But we later learned that when she got out the car, she actually walked to the back where where Kelsey was sitting. Kelsey was in the back seat. Megan was in the front seat at this time. We learned from her earlier statement to the police. This is from Megan's own statement, that when she got out the car, when she got out the front seat of the passenger side of the car, she went to the back where she walked towards the back where Kelsey was sitting. And then we later learned there was a fight right there. And then she proceeded to walk towards the front. And then when Kelsey testified, she said that there was some sort of conflict between Megan and herself. She was very reluctant when she was asked this question. And when pressed, did you guys have any sort of physical contact? She said maybe there was a bump. So we know that when Megan got out the car, she walked towards the back first, then towards the front, and then that's when the shooting took place. But she testified she never walked towards the back. She just walked towards the front. Then that's when the shooting took place. So that's a discrepancy in the timeline of events when she exited the car. The sixth point would be that I identified here. The sixth point is, did you and Kelsey have a physical fight? She said no, there was no physical fight. Now, what's interesting is that we know that Kelsey Harris had injuries. She had a broken fingernail. She had a broken chain. She had some pulled hair. She had a bunch of bruises. So when the prosecution opened up their case and opening statements, they said they were going to present evidence that Tory got into a physical fight with Kelsey. But it turns out that Kelsey's broken fingernail, her broken chain, her pulled hair, those bruises, most likely had nothing to do with Tory Lanez, that it was the result of the fight that she had with Megan. In fact, throughout the trial, the prosecution didn't even present any evidence about a physical confrontation between Kelsey Harris and Tory Lanez. Even though they said this in opening statements, they never addressed it throughout the entire trial. And then we later find out that it will most likely happen between Kelsey and Megan. And when Kelsey testified, she was very reluctant to admit that there was a fight between her. And you can tell when she was testifying, she was hiding information. She was being very short. But then when Sean Kelly, the neighbor that lived on this street, when he testified, he said he looked out of the double windows of his bedroom, heard a commotion outside, and he saw that there were two girls and they were arguing. Then Sean Kelly walked to the balcony, and when he walked to the balcony and looked outside, he said he saw the two girls fighting. They were pulling hair, they were hitting each other. It was quite violent, according to Sean Kelly. So I think it's fair to say that there was definitely a physical altercation between Megan and Kelsey, and all those bruises and injuries that Kelsey Harris sustained most likely had nothing to do with Tory Lanez, even though the prosecution in their opening statement said that that was the result of a fight that Tory Lanez had with Kelsey Harris. And the seventh and final point is regarding Megan Thee Stallion being mad at Kylie. Was she mad about Tory Lanez staying in the pool at Kylie Jenner's house? So the defense attorney asked Megan if she was upset. Was she upset about Tory Lanez wanting to stay behind? And she answered no. And she had an attitude about it, like, no, not a problem. I'd have no issue if Tory Lanez wants to hang out with Kylie. I don't care about that. But it turns out she was very concerned. She was very bothered. She was very irritated that Tory Lanez decided to stay behind while he sent Megan and Kelsey home in his car with Quan driving them. So this is probably one of the biggest lies she told in court. And the reason why I call it one of the biggest lies is because this entire conflict that started between Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion, and Kelsey Harris, the entire conflict actually begins with the argument about Tory and Kylie Jenner. In fact, Megan initially did not want to leave without Tory, but Tory told his driver Quan to take Megan and Kelsey home. Then Megan made up a lie while Quan was taking them home that she forgot a slipper at Kylie's house. So she made the driver bust a U-turn and go back to pick up this so-called slipper. And when Megan entered the house, she got into an argument with Tory. She saw Tory and Kylie in the pool together. And then that's when Kylie told them to leave. And that's when Kylie kicked them out the house. Kelsey also testified that Megan was irritated about Tory in the pool with Kylie. And when they got into the car, this time when they all left together with Tory in the car, the defense attorney asked, so after you guys were in the car leaving Kylie Jenner's house, was there an argument? Kelsey said yes. Who was the first argument between? Kelsey said it was between Megan and Tory. They started arguing about him not wanting to leave Kylie's. And then when EJ testified, he was asked by the defense attorney, what was Megan's demeanor after EJ took the bags out of his car and put it in Tory's car? And he said that she was drunk and she was ready to leave, but she didn't want to leave without Tory. And then he was asked, did you offer to take Megan home? Did EJ offer to take her home? And he said yes. So those are the seven inconsistent statements, lies, misstatements that she made. Tell me if you think any of these statements are even relevant. I actually identified 16 statements. I have all of these 16 statements on the website at streetgangs.com. You can click the link in the description and you could go through all 16 of those. At the end of the day, I am almost certain that the jury was aware that Megan Thee Stallion was lying. I'm sure they considered her inconsistent statements when they were deliberating. And at the end of the day, it didn't really matter, because the fact of the matter is, bullet fragments did enter Megan Thee Stallion's feet. Both her feet were penetrated by bullet fragments, and it required surgery. So that's all the jury cared about. Did Megan get shot? And if so, who did it? Um, that's all I have on the 7 inconsistent statements, lies, misstatements that Megan Thee Stallion made while she was testifying in the case People versus Daystar Peterson. Thanks for tapping in with Street TV.